Christmas is supposed to be a time of gathering, a family safe under one roof. But on Christmas Eve, 1945, in the small town of Fayetteville, West Virginia, that safety was shattered forever for the Sodder family. After putting their 9 children to bed, George and Jenny Sodder were jolted awake by smoke and flames tearing through their home. In a panicked escape, they managed to get themselves and 4 of their children out. They screamed for the other 5 Morris, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, aged 5 to 14, who were sleeping upstairs. But the flames were too fast, the smoke too thick. By morning, their home was a heap of charred timber and ash. The authorities would call it a tragic accident. But what the Sodders discovered in the days that followed would convince them it was something far more sinister, launching a mystery that would haunt a family and a nation for decades. Did their children die in that fire, or did they vanish from the face of the earth? Let's piece together the timeline. The fire broke out around 1 a.m. George Sodder's first instinct was to call for help, but the phone line was dead. A passing motorist, trying to alert the family, later claimed his car mysteriously wouldn't restart. Most crucially, the wooden ladder the family kept propped against the house, their only means of reaching the second-floor porch, was gone. George was forced to try to drive his coal truck up to the house to use it as a ramp, but it wouldn't start either. These weren't just bits of bad luck. To the Sodders, they were deliberate acts of sabotage. When the fire department finally arrived, their response was strangely lethargic. But the most baffling piece of evidence came the next day. The county sheriff and an insurance agent sifted through the still smoldering ruins. They declared that the intense heat had completely cremated the 5 children, leaving no bones, no teeth, not a single trace. George Sodder, who worked with machinery and coal, was adamant. A wood-frame house fire burns at about 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. To incinerate human bone requires nearly twice that heat. It was physically impossible. His doubt turned to conviction when he later found a hard, rubbery globule in the ashes, a substance he believed was napalm or another military-grade incendiary. Faced with this inexplicable void, 3 powerful theories emerged, each darker than the last. The first is the official theory, a tragic electrical fire. The investigation concluded faulty wiring in the attic started the blaze. The missing ladder? Probably just moved by one of the many children playing earlier. The lack of remains? A freak result of the fire's intensity and the collapsing structure. This is the simplest answer, offering closure through tragic chance. But for a family that witnessed the strange events firsthand, it felt like a convenient cover-up for official incompetence. The second theory is George Sodder's belief, a mafia hit. George was an outspoken Italian immigrant who publicly criticized the fascist Mussolini. He claimed that months before the fire, a life insurance salesman with suspected mob ties had threatened him, snarling, "Your goddamn house is going up in smoke, ... Your children are going to be destroyed." The method, a late-night fire. A cut phone line, a stolen ladder fits, a classic, brutal intimidation tactic. But if it was revenge, why take the children? A threat requires a message, but no one ever called to gloat or demand ransom. This leads to the third, and most haunting, possibility, a deliberate kidnapping. In the years after the fire, a web of strange witness accounts surfaced. A bus driver came forward, saying he saw the children, looking frightened but unhurt, in a sedan that very night. A waitress in a neighboring state reported serving a group of children matching their description days later. Most chillingly, in 1968, the family received an anonymous photo in the mail. It showed a young man who looked unmistakably like an adult version of their son, Louis. Jenny Sodder, the mother, clung to these threads of hope. She believed her children had been taken, possibly to be sold or used as forced labor, and the fire was a ruthless smokescreen to make the world believe they were dead. Refusing to let their children be forgotten, George and Jenny Sodder turned their grief into a crusade. They turned the empty lot where their house stood into a permanent billboard, offering a massive reward for information. They hired private detectives, followed leads across the country, and pleaded their case to the FBI and even to famous newspaper columnist Walter Winchell. In 1949, they hired a backhoe operator to dig deeper into the foundation. They found no bones, only more of that strange, melted substance. The official case was closed, but the Sodder search never ended. Jenny died in 1989, never knowing the truth. The story endures not because it was solved, but because it represents a profound rupture in reality. How can 5 children simply cease to exist from one moment to the next? The mystery of the Sodder children sits at the crossroads of a family-'s love and a historical enigma. It asks us which is harder to believe, that a fire could erase 5 lives without a single physical trace, or that a plot so dark could unfold in a quiet American town on Christmas Eve. The billboard is gone. The parents have passed, but the question burns as brightly as that long-ago fire. What is your verdict? Accident, revenge, or kidnapping? Tell us in the comments below. If you're drawn to mysteries where the past refuses to stay silent, subscribe to Chronicle of the Obscure.